All right, folks, good afternoon. Let's go ahead and get airborne with our Analyze Your Trade and Debrief, or as we're also going to talk about today, our Q2 earnings, buy or sell. So welcome aboard to folks who don't know what Top Gun Options is, or, well, actually, you know what? We have, we'll do a little bit of a poll here. We'll take care of some action items in a little bit. Let me do this. We're going to knock out a quick poll because I want to know how many, let's see, let's select one of these. There we go. So everybody go ahead and vote right there. If you're new to TGO, say, yeah, I'm new. If you're not new, go ahead and obviously say no. And then if you don't know what TGO, because I want to figure out how much time I need to spend on my intro. So do me a favor and go ahead and vote right there. I want to figure out this really, okay, starting to see some results, good. We have a lot to cover today, folks, from the trade war with China to a potential hot war with China. We're going to talk about Russia. We got to talk about what the Fed chief said today. We got to talk about earnings. This is going to be a great time here. Okay, so about 25%, everybody vote. Let's go ahead and vote. We got a lot of people in here and a lot streaming into the in right now. Yeah, the last question's a joke, folks. We used to joke about that in the Navy. As we were sitting there pondering life, we're like, okay, who invented liquid soap and why? What's the fastest land animal? Okay, so let's go ahead. So as I said, folks, this is a regularly scheduled live trading session. This is called Analyze Your Trade and Debrief. So it looks like about 16% of you are new, which is good. And then obviously most of my members are in here. And then 7% of you want to know who invented liquid soap and why. You're after my own heart. I love it. Okay, so we have a lot to cover, like I said. So we're done with that poll. Let's go ahead and get back to being airborne here. Okay, for the folks that are new, let's go ahead and press here. Let me introduce myself real quick. My name is Matthew Buckley. My call sign is Wiz. So I'm pretty sure my parents liked me. That was my God-given name. Edward Matthew is my God-given name. But I earned that call sign flying the FA-18 Hornet for the United States Navy for about 15, 16 years. Graduated from the Navy Fighter Weapons School, which many of you know as Top Gun, and I also was a bad guy pilot. Got to do a lot of cool things when I was in the Navy. Flew in a bad guy airplane over Pakistan. Got to fly with the Blue Angels. I stood on the back of the ship when I wasn't flying. That's me with that pretty sharp-looking haircut right there, squared off. In my younger days, I was an LSO, a landing signal officer, so I'd be on the back of the ship helping my fellow aviators land, and I also flew 44 combat sorties over Iraq. If you want to, this is the Persian Gulf, folks. Actually, we call it the Arabian Gulf. We don't call it the Persian Gulf because the folks over here, Iran, call it the Persian Gulf. So that's Iran right there. This is Iraq, and this is Kuwait. That's Kuwait City. That's how big the Persian Gulf is, folks. It's a little bit of a lake. So you might be sitting here saying, well, okay, that's neat, but what the hell does this have to do with trading? Everything. When I was a young aviator in the early 90s, I taught myself how to trade stocks, and then I heard about these things called options. Never traded another stock in my life. It made no sense. But I applied everything I was learning flying a fighter aircraft. Being disciplined, having a strategy, managing risk, contingency planning, knowing when to get out of a bad situation before it got worse, or knowing when to get out of a good situation before it got worse. I applied it to my trading, and the results were just absolutely incredible. So eventually, I popped up on the radar of one of the largest equity options trading firms in the world. If any of you are familiar with Chicago, this is obviously the famous Chicago Board of Trade. That's the intersection of Jackson and LaSalle, and these big, beautiful windows. That's our trading floor. So went up to Chicago and helped start a hedge fund. I helped start the retail brokerage called Options House, and then I built my own company when I was in that firm. And to be honest with you, I felt a little like Valentine in Trading Places, a little old retail trader going up to the big leagues, right? So I was you, folks. I was what the hell's a call, what the hell's a put, and ended up run one of the largest volatility arbitrage firms in the world. But when I was also up there, I started the Options News Network. Some of you might remember that. It was called ONN TV, the Options News Network, kind of a competitor. One of my metric of success as the CEO was we tried to buy advertising on CNBC, and one of the executives said, no, if you're a competitor. I'm like, that's awesome. But eventually I had to fly to New Jersey, talk to them, say we're not a competitor, and they, of course, took our money eventually. So no offense to anybody from Chicago. The winters suck. I'm a Navy guy. I'm a beach guy. I need beach. I need water. So moved down here to God's Waiting Room in Boca Raton, Florida, with my squadron, and we started Top Gun Options about 8 years ago. So we've been doing this for 8 years, folks. We've literally trained thousands upon thousands of retail traders such as yourself, from Marine buddies of mine who can't even spell the word options, all the way up to, if you think you're some sort of Jedi master trading reverse straddles with a kung fu twist, I just made that up. We'll make you better, just like Top Gun. Okay, so that's a little bit about me. Don't want to do too much more of that because we have a lot to cover today, because there literally is a lot going on in the market. Especially China's the sleeper story, folks, and we're about to pound the hell out of China into the dirt today. But here's the flow of what we do here at Top Gun Options. Like I said, you're in a regular brief, so I don't want to be rude to all the new folks, but I think the best way to get a feel for what we do here is walk into the squadron and watch us conduct our normal flight operations. I'm not going to sit here with 90 PowerPoint slides. I invited you to an actual live trade brief. Isn't this awesome? Semper Fi. That's exactly right. There you go. David, liquid soap was used early 1800s. William Shepard. David gets a gold star for today. Patented liquid soap in 1865. See, now I don't have to ask that question anymore, David. You answered it for me. Okay, so what we do here at Top Gun Options is, in our live trade briefs, I do an SOT. We can put a little pyramid around it, right? Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to give you a strategic brief. Many of you are very tactical traders. You woke up today, Elon Musk sent out another stupid tweet, I'm going to get bearish on Tesla, and tomorrow it's up 50 points and you're broke. You're very tactical. That's not us. So today, I'm going to give you about a 10-15-minute strategic brief. What's going on? The sleeper story right now is the trade war with China. It's absolutely shocking that we're not down 300, 400, 500 points. You're going to get a lot of whizzisms, so to speak, here at Top Gun Options. And one of them, right out of the gate, is the market only cares when it cares. Now, that was worth the price of admission, which was free. But no, seriously, folks, think about it. The market only cares when it cares. It's not like Iran stopped building nuclear weapons. It's not like China isn't doing stuff to hit us with trade or other stuff, cyber, or, building more islands in the middle of the Pacific. Just because the financial media or the regular media aren't talking about something doesn't mean it stops. So I'm going to give you a strategic brief, oil, Russia, what's going on around the world, and then we peel the onion one layer back at another 10, 15-minute part of the brief today. I'm going to get operational. What's going on with earnings? What about the Fed? Jerome Powell, our Fed head, sat in front of the Senate and the House this week and gave testimony. What's going on with interest rates? And then, and only then, towards the second half of the webinar, will we get tactical and talk about trades. I'm glad nobody's done it yet, but usually 7 minutes into one of these briefs, if you're new, people are like, hey, where's the trades? If that's you, or you're itching to start asking me, where's the trades, or what are we doing? You most likely should leave now and not waste your time, because this is a this is a different methodology of trading. And I owe everything to the Navy, folks. It ain't rocket surgery, right? Everything I believe trading's a form of combat. Somebody's going to win on a trade and somebody ain't. Which side do you want to be on, and why wouldn't you use the same methodologies that I used over the skies of Iraq and on Wall Street to win? It makes common sense to me, but obviously common sense ain't so common. All right, so here we go. Let's get strategic and get into our regularly scheduled brief. You know what? I'll save this for maybe some other time, but RIMPAC 2018. So RIMPAC is a huge naval exercise. I did RIMPAC in the mid-90s. It's awesome. There's like 26 countries, and we had this big battle in the middle of the Pacific. And it was 3 months long when I did it. What makes it so special this year? Well, usually China is invited and other stuff. They're not invited this year. Brazil, Israel, Sri Lanka, and Vietnam were invited. What am I getting at here? The president, folks, I don't care what you think of the man and what happened the other day, the little bit of the embarrassment and him trying to clean it up. The president is convinced that Russia ain't the biggest. They're not the closest alligator to the boat, folks. Think about it. They have the GDP of Texas, if they're lucky. The only reason we have to really worry or deal with them is they got nukes. China is the threat, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't know, under Barack Hussein Obama, so here's the mainland of China up here. China, during low tide, sailed out into the middle of the Pacific, found an atoll at low tide, poured a bunch of dirt on it, put a runway and said, that's China. Found one over here. They expanded the borders of their country, in their opinion, 600 miles into the middle of the Pacific. We did nothing. What did President Trump do last week? He ordered a guided missile a cruiser and a guided missile destroyer to sail right through the middle of this crap. They got yelled at and don't sail through our waters again. You're going to get shot. So this is one of the reasons here at TGO is not only I have a lot of buddies on Wall Street, obviously, that I do calls with every day to see what's going on, but I also have a lot of buddies up in a big 5-sided building up in DC. So like I said, the market only cares when it cares. So this stuff is going on. The president behind the scenes is really poking China, and he's in front of the scenes really poking China how? So last week, ladies and gentlemen, Steve Mnuchin, our Treasury Secretary, said what? What did he say last week? Our trade war talks with China are stalled. That there's nothing going on with that right now. Take a look at the picture of the S&P 500 right here. Does everybody remember a couple months ago, well, not a couple months ago, 3-4 months ago, what all this just absolute buffoonery was? Threat of a trade war, renewed fears of a trade war. We saw massive swings in the market. This was on the threat of the trade war. Folks, we're in one. 2 weeks ago, we fired a $34 billion shot across China's bow. Last week, as the president literally was getting on Air Force One to go to the NATO summit, he blasted what? Another $200 billion. What's the market doing? Listen to me, ladies and gentlemen. The market's going to care about this. They don't care about it right now, especially the financial media, because what? They're talking treason and impeach this dude and he's a Russian plant. Ignore the noise, folks, and listen to me. The market's going to wake up to the holy crap moment here. Here's the rest of it. So Steve Mnuchin last week said, "Hey man, we're stalled. There ain't nothing going on." Yesterday, who was it? Larry Kudlow. So Larry Kudlow, where is he? Right here. One of them. There it is. So Larry Kudlow. He was brought in from CNBC. He's a New York guy. The president knows him. Good dude. You ready for this? Larry Kudlow, I call him the market whisperer. It was like in here somewhere, twice in one day, ladies and gentlemen. Larry, we were going to break through the 200-day moving average, this red line on the S&P 500. Larry Kudlow came out on the White House lawn in the morning and like the afternoon and said, "Everybody relax. Not going to be a trade war. The adults are talking behind the scenes." The adults being him, Steve Mnuchin, Peter Navarro. You ready for this? Last week, Mnuchin, talks are stalled. It ain't good. What did Peter Navarro say today? It's a zero-sum game between China and the rest of the world. So the president's 3 generals on this trade war, Mnuchin, Kudlow, and now Peter Navarro, has said, we ain't talking and we're going to war. Hold on, Wiz. Back here, that would have been a 1,000-point drop in the market. Yeah. Again, the market only cares when it cares. So remember that pyramid, folks, strategic, operational, tactical. We'll get operational here in a couple minutes, but you can kind of see the trade that we're going to get to in a little bit here. Steve Bannon, I don't care if you love or hate him. I don't know the dude. He was a Goldman Sachs guy, never met him. You ready for this? He said the same thing. We're at war with China, and we have been for decades. This dude's right, too. I don't care what you think of him. What he said is right. I remember under Bill Clinton, the Chinese, the PLC or PLA, People's Liberation Army, stole 20, 30 years worth of ballistic missile and fast attack submarine technology. It set our Navy back decades. You didn't hear a word about that. They steal everything that's not tied down. Let me give you an options example. A couple of years ago, 3G Capital and Warren Buffett were going to buy Heinz ketchup. Everybody, you guys know Teresa Heinz Kerry, right? I think options activity in Heinz ketchup or Heinz up until that point was like maybe one dude traded a call option every other leap year. There was just like no activity in the options. 2 days before the deal was announced, 80,000 calls were purchased. I mean, that's just, if you're going to do some insider trading, be subtle about it. 80,000 calls were purchased 2 days before the deal. After the deal was announced, these calls were worth like $100 million, whatever it was. If you don't think the SEC or the FBI, now we actually have divisions set up to watch this type of trading, like the bin Laden trade around 9/11. So alphabet soup government agencies get involved. They do an investigation. Turns out it's a Goldman Sachs account. Shocker. Okay, Goldman Sachs, holy crap, that ain't us. Let's dig. They dig. It goes to a big account in Switzerland. They're like, oh my God, let's dig into that. And the trail disappears. I know for a fact, and I can share it since it is open knowledge now, it was China. It was the 12th floor of the PLA. The People's Liberation Army has hacked into Goldman Sachs, everybody's emails, and they know when deals are happening. They're trading off of this, folks. So if you don't think we're at war with China, at least in a cold or soft war, you're nuts. And as I said, the country expanded their borders, in their opinion, by 600 miles into the middle of the Pacific. I sailed through the Pacific. I did 2 deployments. I sailed through the Taiwan Strait. I've flown around there. I've been yelled at over the radio that I'm going to get shot down. And guys, I'm not blowing off your questions. In our normal session, I answer everybody's, but since we're packed, let me just give my brief and then I'll scroll up and answer questions. Let me blow through this. Folks, so this is, you ready for this? Where's the panic? Why trade war hedges aren't working? Please, and I'm not going to be annoying, but I say things repeatedly so they stick. Before I ever landed aboard an aircraft carrier, we practiced about 400 times at the field. So it was muscle memory. So when I tell you stuff, I want it to become muscle memory because the market is going to care when it cares. The trade war is complicating China's efforts to fix its economy. And finally, here we go, ladies and gentlemen, and I've briefed you on this. You ready? We are nearing the pain point triggering what? The PBOC put. If you don't know what the PBOC is, that's the People's Bank of China. What do you mean by the PBOC put? Well, maybe you heard when Ben Bernanke was our Fed chief, we had the Bernanke put. And then Janet Yellen, the Yellen put, and now the Powell put. This is the concept of there's no hell, right? This is like the Pope coming out and telling Catholics, you know what, really messed up about the hell thing. There ain't no hell. Party on. So it's the belief that the Fed or the People's Bank of China is going to jump in and save capitalism and keep markets propped up. You know we did this, folks. I never agreed with it. Quantitative easing, 1, 2, 3, Operation Twist, whatever you wanted to call it. I was a guy in 2009 that said, let it burn. Lehman Brothers, Bear Stearns, let it implode, man. From the ashes will rise a phoenix. Remember the whole too big to fail thing? So here's what's happening in China, folks. And this is a good proxy for China. We trade FXI. Okay, it's kind of the large cap ETF for China. It's kind of their Dow Industrial. So let me give you an example of what the PBOC has done in the past. You ready for this? Let me get rid of some of these lines. So we were trading the FXI. I've never seen a more euphoric stock market. Look at that. The FXI went straight up. Does everybody remember this? I remember the live trade brief when I said, that's it, folks. This was our Joe Kennedy moment. I remember showing in a live trade brief a picture of a fruit cart vendor in, where was it? Shenzhen. It was like a picture of a dude with a bunch of fruit. He's supposed to be selling fruit. He's hunched over his laptop and you can see his trading screen. Remember Joe Kennedy, what was it, in the 20s? He came into work one day. He's like, sell everything. And everybody's like, what are you talking about? He's like, the shoe shine guy just gave me stock advice. Get out. And 2 weeks later, the market imploded. So about 2 weeks before the market imploded, I had my fruit dude. Here's what happened. If you weren't trading back in, the market absolutely panicked. And here's what happened. The PBOC did what? And the Chinese governments tried to step in to save their form of capitalism. They did what? They banned short selling. You can't sell short anymore. They arrested 200-ish financial journalists who were writing bearish articles. You couldn't trade on margin. You could have open-only positions. They ordered all their large institutional funds to buy stock. Here's what happens when the government, or even, remember the days when the stock market circuit breakers would kick in? Like, oh my God, the market's imploding, so we're going to put these circuit breakers in so people can't trade. What the hell happens during the time when the circuit breakers, where you can't trade? People panic more. So it's a circular spiral. So the PBOC got involved in capitalism, and I'm not going to, there will be no bottom if the market says that they just don't have enough power. They don't have enough money. Years ago, Ben Bernanke testified during one of his in front of Congress things. He was like Scotty in the engine room of the enterprise. What did he tell Congress, the House and the Senate? He said, hey, folks, I'm giving you all I got, Captain. I can't give you no more. He more or less said, you guys need to do your job as legislators. This isn't our mandate, man, but I'm trying to hold this market up. Okay? So that was bad. So this is when there's a lot of canaries in the coal mine right now, and it's not good. Wait, can you guys hear me? Fuck. Hold on, guys. Internet just went down. Hey guys, can you hear me now? All right. Well, wonderful South Florida weather here, folks. I heard a crack of lightning. No, it wasn't the Chinese hacking. I don't think it was the Chinese. I think it actually was lightning. Love South Florida weather here, but I actually have, see, always contingency plan, folks. I went through my hotspot on my phone. Hopefully it's enough bandwidth to keep us powered here, but my apologies. We're back in. Exactly. No, we're good. We're back here, guys. Everybody don't need to email you the recording or anything. We're back on. All right, let's get going. So here's the deal, folks, is the PBOC, when you see these headlines that the People's Bank of China is about to jump in and save capitalism, it is time to short the hell out of what's going on. So, yeah, exactly. What three-letter agency did I piss off? I'm pretty sure all of them. So, and here's the last Kudlow headline I'll give you. China shocked beyond imagination at Larry Kudlow's bogus accusations. So there's a lot to talk about with China, but needless to say, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get bearish here in a couple minutes when we get tactical on China. Okay, let's get operational. So we did a quick strategic brief, a little bit of a sell-off in oil today on Saudi Arabia, saying we can really open the spigots. We'll talk about oil next week more when it becomes an issue here. So, okay, so here's the funny headline for the day. You know, Dow's down about $1 right now. S&P's down about 5-6. We'll talk about our weekly options trade right here. We got a good-looking weekly options trade, a bear call spread we placed Monday. We'll review that in a couple minutes. But these headlines are comical. Trade tensions weigh on U.S. stocks. What did this headline say the other day when the market did this? Everybody remember, what was it, last Tuesday when the market kind of imploded 200-300 points? Trade war fears weigh on market. You can't make this up. Right, so you could just kind of swap out these headlines. Hey, market rallies on this, and then trade war fears renew or rear their ugly head. So operationally, folks, this week Jerome Powell spoke, our Fed chief. He was dovish on Tuesday, cleaned it all up, debriefed with his team, and then was a little more hawkish the next day. So that's why we saw the market kind of wallow around Tuesday and Wednesday. Is traders were trying to figure out what the Fed chief was in fact saying. Net, folks, I got to tell you, it sounded like he was a little dovish, right? I think it sounds like we're going to have a nice look in interest rates like this. This looks like a Greenspan interest rate increases. So I think we're going to get 2 more this year, and I think we're on path here. So I got to be honest with you, it was kind of a Goldilocks testimony. He wasn't too hot, he wasn't too cold, so I think we're fine. We talked about Morgan Stanley earlier in the week, and how it might even overtake my JP Morgan as our lead financial trade. And we'll talk more about that next week as well. How about Donald Trump today? He more or less sent out a tweet that said what about the EU? Because a couple days ago, he called the EU a competitor, right? And all the liberal media frothing at the mouth couldn't believe that he said that. Today he said, I told you, they leveled a $5 billion fine against Google and antitrusted the EU, folks. So today the president, again, tweeting like a mofo, told you so, the EU is a competitor. He didn't mean EU's like an enemy. And again, I love watching the drama and the way the media are reporting what the president says or does, because I almost choke on a daily basis on my popcorn. It's comical. He called the EU a competitor, and he's right. So you have to be careful of these FANG stocks that have this type of exposure. As all my current members know, we're Amazon. We're Amazon. Don't look at any other stock other than Amazon. And Amazon's not a FANG. You don't spell FANG F-A-A-N-G. It's Facebook, Apple, Netflix, Google. I don't like any of those. In October, we bailed out of our Facebook and Apple positions and loaded the boat on Amazon. Let's take a look at that. Not that Facebook and Amazon Facebook and Apple are going to be out of business anytime soon, but folks, let's look at the returns. Let's take a look at Facebook first. So back in October, when we hear, Data, or whatever his name is, Mark Zuckerberg, say, oh my God, the Russians bought 200 grand in Facebook ads. They stole the election. Like, I'm pretty sure 200 grand in Facebook ads didn't do anything. So there's the return on Facebook, 28%. Let's take a look at Apple, since I said to get out of Apple back here in October. Let me get rid of this. Let's go to Apple. And some of our members are literally printing money in their Amazon's position. So there's October. What did Apple do? Apple's up 28%. Okay. Now let's take a look at what we've been doing. We are like 32 for 35 in our Amazon trades year to date. We have, knock on wood, we rarely miss with Amazon, and our weekly options portfolio is just crushing it. 2 weeks in a row of weekly options trades that were at max profit, along with some of our volatility trades. So exactly, Chris, nobody's vote was changed by any of that stuff. You know what pisses me off? I am pissed off at foreign interference in our election. It's called illegal immigrants. Anybody see that the city of Boston and San Francisco, their city councils are voting to make illegal immigrants allow them to vote in local elections? You want to talk about foreign interference in our elections? It's right there. But let's look at Amazon. I don't want to get too political here. 91%. Now, I'm a political science major and a former Navy pilot, so I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed. But would you rather have a 91% return or a 28 or a 24? So we bailed out of Facebook, Apple, when they all started getting political. Remember that week where the Cambridge Analytica scandal hit Facebook, and oh my God, and what's his name? Steve Cook, the CEO of Apple, was on stage like 2 days later, like, I don't know what type of ship they're running there over at Facebook, but we don't do any of that stuff. And Mark Zuckerberg, like 2 minutes later, was like, he more or less called the dude a liar. So these limousine liberals out in Cupertino were eating each other for lunch. So we got out of the way of Facebook and Apple, got into Amazon. And can you say hell yeah with a 91%? I don't know if Greg's in here and Jeff and Steve. We have people that have been in these Amazon positions that are up over $150,000. Look at that. So Kevin, you're one of my Amazon guys too. Let me show everybody what Kevin said. So Kevin's a lifetime member here, TJ. Look at his. Yes to Amazon. Did a short-term synthetic stock, took profits at 1,000%. And if you don't know what synthetic stock is or a long call diagonal, for all the new folks that are eavesdropping right now in our regular session, we'll teach you, okay? We do full throttle training. As a matter of fact, to folks who are members, don't forget tonight is our final full throttle training session about iron condors. So tonight at 7 o'clock Eastern, we're going to cover iron condors. Okay, now let's get tactical. All right, so I think I covered all my operational issues. We talked about Amazon this week. I didn't do an Amazon weekly options trade just because I'm telling you, man, these Amazon Prime weeks, there we go. What did I say? Amazon tends to sell on the news. Look at that, folks. Nailed it. Absolutely nailed it this week on Amazon. I said, we ain't going to trade it. We're not going to put a bull put spread on because it's going to sell on the news. Nailed it. What did we do instead? We did a bear call spread on SPX. Chris, you'll get an invite. You'll get an email an hour or two before tonight's session. Everything's emailed to you before the session, guys. So take a look at this. For all the new folks, we do a weekly options live trade brief every Monday at 1 o'clock. Okay, so let me show you some of our recent wins. Last week, we put on an Amazon bull put spread. So last Monday, not this week, the week before, we put on an Amazon bull put spread, and it's almost comical to see the pricing. A week ago, we put on the 1712, 1710 bull put spread. Remember back years ago when Amazon traded in 1700s? No, that was a couple days ago. Look at this. We made this trade expired Friday afternoon for a max profit of $2,100. In 4 days of trading. The max risk in that trade was $5,400. If Jeff Bezos held a press conference and said he's the Antichrist and Amazon went to zero, the most we could have lost on that trade was $5,400. And that was based right here, folks, on 30 contracts. Okay, 30 contracts. I'm going to teach you at Top Gun Options that we have what are called an SOP, standard operating procedures. Just like flying a fighter jet or being an options trader, folks, you need procedures. If you paid attention to the top of one of my slides here, folks, what's it say? What's it say right at the top here? Actually, let me use that one. That's a good. It says discipline and risk management. That's how you get superior execution, folks. So if you're sitting there going, holy crap, I don't want to risk $5,400 on one trade, then don't. Then don't do this was based on 30 contracts. You can trade one contract, you can trade 1,000. I can't give financial advice. You're getting to eavesdrop in on what we do. So this trade in 4 days made over $2,000 on limited risk. What did we do the week before that? We did a volatility trade. On Monday, the market had rolled over. This was 3 weeks ago. Market rolls over on a Monday. I'm like, folks, and the VIX, the volatility spiked. I'm like, nope, that ain't gonna. By Friday, this market's gonna rally. We sold a bear call spread. And again, if you don't even know what that is, a bear call spread, relax. You got 8 training sessions where you're going to learn what it is. But take a look at the metrics of this trade. This one expired that Friday, also for a max profit of $2,100. You're seeing a theme here, folks. So I'm not going to go back too much further, but let's cover our existing trade since we're in our weekly debrief. So on Monday afternoon, I put on a bear call spread on the S&P 500. I trade SPX, folks. I don't trade SPY. Once you become a member here, you'll learn why I trade SPX and not SPY, and it might save you a lot of money in taxes. Uncle Wiz. Here we go. So Monday, we sold the 2820, 2825 bear call spread. So we're risking, it's a little north. Oh, that's what I was going to tell you. Here's my SOP. So the model portfolios here at Top Gun Options are based on a notional $100,000 portfolio. Here's part of my SOP I'm going to teach you. I don't want to risk more than 5%. And again, I'm a political science major, so help me out here. Oh, okay, that's about $5,000. I don't want to risk more than 5% of my portfolio or $5,000 on any one trade. Why? Why? That's me. You could be 2.5%, you could be 10%, you could be 50. You got to fly and fight your own airplane. But I know that if this trade goes to hell in a handbasket this week, the S&P 500 tomorrow has Jesus, Buddha, Ganesh, and Muhammad come back to life tomorrow, and the market has a rip your face off rally. I know my max risk. Just like being a fighter pilot, folks, before going on any mission, I sit there and go, how am I going to get killed? Right? And unless we're ordered on a kamikaze mission, which I think those ended in World War II, we look at those risks and we say either that's acceptable or not. So that's what I wanted to tell you is this is where these numbers are coming from, this $5,000-ish plus or minus in the window. So by tomorrow, if the S&P 500, if SPX stays below 2820, we make $1,600 in 4 days. And I'm going to tell you right now, so this is a hold. I'm holding this trade right now. Let's take a look at SPX. Right here. So, and there we go. And we haven't had our, right around 2 to 2:30, 2 to 3 o'clock, folks, we're going to get this little afternoon sell-off. I guarantee you that happens. So right now we're at what, 2809? There are no major macroeconomic news events coming out tomorrow. And after a week where we kind of go up Monday, Tuesday, flat Wednesday, give some of it back Thursday, we tend to sell into the close on a Friday. The market in today's environment don't like being long on a Friday. How many of you, if you ran a big trading firm, would, let's keep a bunch of super long positions over the weekend? Folks, we're one tweet, we're one Iranian gunboat away, we're one something away from a huge market implosion. Let's take a look at the trend, though, right here. Let's take a look at the S&P 500. I call this the McDonald's rally. Look at the golden arches here, folks. So we had this near-death experience with the S&P 500 back in early May at the 200-day moving average. Then what did we do? Rip your face off rally, sideways, give it back, bounce off the 50-day, rip your face off rally, now give some of it back. Look at that. That's McDonald's. So now, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, we chopped around the 50-day moving average. It really was decision time. Okay, we got Q2 earnings coming. What are we going to do? Well, what did the market decide to do? Rip your face off, rally. What do you think is going to happen here, folks? Just use your thinking brain. Anybody think that's going to happen? Q2 earnings have been good, but I got to be honest with you. Q1 earnings, everybody remember this? Q1 earnings were disgusting. I've been doing this for over a quarter of a century. Now I sound old, and I'm avoiding putting on my reading glasses so I don't look stupid. Folks, JP Morgan, for example, first quarter earnings, they literally have never had that. Even when JP Morgan was alive, their earnings weren't that good. What did the market do? The market shrugged. Exactly, guy. The market shrugged and said, we expected better. Are you kidding me? So now Q2 earnings, they're not super bad, but they ain't super phenomenal. Morgan Stanley was good. But look at Netflix, man. What was it, Tuesday, Wednesday? Netflix imploded. Horrible numbers. Now, we still got to get our Apples, our Facebooks, our Amazons on, and I get that, folks. But if anything, we're at least going to chop to maybe do, retest this 50-day moving average. Okay, so my strategic mindset right now is neutral to cautiously bearish. So I'm going to teach you and become a TGO member what a strategic mindset is. You can only be one of four things, folks. You can be bullish, self-explanatory. You can be bearish, duh. You can think the market's just, I don't know where the hell it's going, Wiz, it's volatile. Or you could be neutral. So right now, I'm neutral to cautiously bearish. So now I am going to put my glasses on because I want to see, let's see where everybody else is. Let's do one of these magic polls. So check this out, folks. Can you scroll? Oh, Greg, where's your Amazon update? Oh, there it is. Folks, as I'm getting ready to launch this poll, I want you to take a look at what one of our Gregs is doing in Amazon. Look at Greg. Greg's got a Jan 19. Jan 19 hit my profit target last week, a little over a 305% gain. Closed it so folks, he had a Jan 19 on, right? Usually we close that out in the fall, but guess what? Greg's like, hey man, dude, it hit my profit target, so I closed it out. Very well done, Greg. Closed a few months early by banking $108,000. He has another Amazon position on, which is what? He's got a Jan 2020. It's up over $36,000. You know what, Greg? If you don't mind, I'm gonna grab a screenshot of that. So folks, Greg, Kevin, Steve, Mike, a bunch of you guys listened in October. Actually, Greg, I think you got into that one before October. Let me grab that one. File, save as, Greg Amazon. And folks, this is, not to, let me put Jan 20 on that one, not to belittle Greg, but he came here to TGO and he's doing the Lord's work, man. I'm very, very proud of Greg and all these folks that are doing the Amazon. And it's not too late. I can't stand when people do that. They're like, I'm going to wait for Amazon to pull back, Wiz, and then I'll get into it. When's Amazon going to pull back, folks? Somebody tell me when Amazon is going to pull back. If you can tell me when Amazon is going to pull back, why don't you mortgage the house, the wife, the kids, and get bearish on it, and it's going to pull back? It ain't, folks. So here's what I'm getting at: that the ship hasn't sailed on this. Thomas, I have in October of this year, and I'm up $10,000. Sweet. Here, Tom. There's a lot of folks rolling in to give you some kudos there. There you go. So, all right, folks, I want to know what your strategic mindset is. And then we're going to do our trade on China here. We're going to get tactical. I have a couple more questions for you guys. All right, so let me pick this one. What's your current strategic mindset? Ready, set, go. So Thomas up 10 grand, man. I love it. Here we go. Oh, wow, David, I didn't know that. I'm grabbing that one from both you guys. That's awesome. Let me grab, as you guys are all voting here, I'll show you this one. Everybody vote. What's your current strategic mindset? So Thomas, David, a couple Davids. No, Paul, answer it in the poll there. You should be able to see it. Okay. Let me go David. Save as David. Okay, a couple more seconds and then we'll take a look at the results. Okay, it should be on the screen there, guys. You should be seeing the poll. All right, great. 53% voted. Let's do another 15 seconds. Get your answer in the poll. And this is what I love about markets, right? Because it's funny. You'll watch CNBC. I call it Comedy Central. Well, no, I know it didn't ask for a time frame. I'm just saying short term, guys. What are you right now? Sitting here listening to the webinar, are you bullish, bearish, volatile, or neutral? I'm glad nobody put what's a close. All right, so you ready? Let me get you the results here. Okay, close, and I'm going to share it. So let's take a look, and there's the answers. There it is. Isn't that funny? I mean, we have what, over 300. This room's packed right now. Look at all the different strategic mindsets, right? Well, we'll talk tactical mindset in a second. Tactical mindset is really when you're going to go trade something. So our tactical, because look at this, folks. You could be, how many of you? So 16% of you are bullish, which is great, but we're about to get bearish on China on FXI. So whoever said tactical mindset, I love where your head's at, because you're thinking of trading. Okay, so all right, let's get back to sharing my screen here, and we will hide the poll. So really cool stuff. I appreciate that, guys. So look at this right here. So Thomas has his 10 grand. David's relatively new, right, David? David did a Amazon synthetic stock position 2 months ago and is up $42,000. Folks, this can be you, man. That's somebody's full-time job, man. So very, very happy with your performance. Eli banked $8,000, currently up $20,000. Holy crap, folks. Let me grab these unsolicited testimonials. Eli, I'm grabbing that, man. Congrats to Eli. So folks, if you're new to TGO, these are you. These folks came to one of these. So Eli, Amazon, I'm going to use all these in our full throttle week. Congrats, Eli. Well done. All right. It is, Harry, the gift that keeps on giving. Our Amazon trading has been on fire. It's been unconscious. I would not be in Apple. I would not be in Facebook. Yes, the only way Facebook really survives, folks, or gets back on its horse, Zuckerberg's got to go. The dude's got the personality of a bag of doorknobs. The Cambridge Analytica scandal, there was other bad news today. Who badmouthed the hell out of Facebook today? Another huge institutional investor. Now remember, stock can remain irrational longer than you can stay solvent. I get it. I've been bad-mouthing Facebook, and it continues to go up. So maybe I should support it. So, holy crap, Harry, nice. Harry, Diane's up 70. No need to insult innocent doorknobs. Look at that. So Diane's a lifetime member here at TGO. Holy crap, Diane, very well done. Diane is up $70,000. That's one contract, folks. Diane did one contract in our Amazon trading, and she's up $75,000. This is awesome. We have a full throttle launch coming up here in a couple weeks, so I'm going to use these guys. I appreciate it. So, David, yes, I got to get to our China trade, folks. I don't want to keep you here all day. Here's our longs. And I'm giving a little bit too much away, but that's what we do here. I'm a giver. Where's our Jan 20s? So we have a lot of Jan 20. So we trade the front month. So I'm going to give you a front month trade here in a couple minutes. But we also trade the back months, folks. I did training the other night on synthetic stock and long call diagonals. So we go all the way out to Jan 20 and place a lot of these trades that we're bullish on. CSX, well, let me just go through them real quick. And like I said, I don't want to give away the store here, but CSX is our transport play. Anybody see CSX the other day? Holy earnings, Batman. CSX was up 7% on earnings. We have a Jan 20 position on CSX, and we also just put on a bull put spread yesterday. We put on a bull put spread in accelerated retirement right down here. Let me get a hell yeah if you got that bull put spread yesterday. That thing's already up 35% in a day. So not only did we crush it with earnings, we also have the bull put spread on. So that is that's our transport long. Hell yeah, a lot of it. Awesome. So CSX is our Jan20 transport. Here's our Jan20 defense stock, Raytheon. Folks, you don't buy a Boeing, you don't buy a General Dynamics, you don't buy Lockheed, you don't buy what else? What's the other big one? Northrop Grumman. Whiz, those all sound great. They do. You know what the common thread through every one of those defense, or I mean, Boeing's not necessarily just defense. You guys fly on Boeings. What's the common thread through all the stocks I just rattled off? You're looking at it. Ladies and gentlemen, I sat behind a Raytheon product for 15 years, a radar, and that probably explains why I'm losing my hair. But Raytheon is the guts to a fighter jet, to a submarine, or to an aircraft. So Raytheon is our Jan20 defense stock. And I'm not going to give too much away of our Jan20s, but look at how Raytheon did under Barack Hussein Obama. Does everybody remember sequestration and budget cuts and gutting our military? Look at what the stock did under Obama. Donald Trump ain't afraid to turn people into hair, teeth, and eyeballs that want to hurt us. Raytheon's our Jan20 defense stock. So, you know what, guys, I'm not going to get too much into my Jan20s. That's what you guys are going to pay for here. So, David, stock hasn't moved. I don't care. That's lately. You know what we've done, David, in the past month and a half? We've made $22,000, David, on the stock not moving. This is why you're an options trader. If you bought Raytheon right here, you're at your cocktail party tonight going, son of a bitch, I'm losing money on Raytheon. David, we've been doing what? Bull put spreads, bear call spread, iron condor, bull put spread. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've done about 6 trades on Raytheon. So if something moves sideways, folks, this is what I'm going to teach you. That might look like a boring chart to you. It ain't to me, right? Exactly, David. So if something's moving sideways, folks, you can still make, matter of fact, as it slid down here, not only did we do spreads, but we did what's called sold front month upside calls to bring in some premium. I'll teach you all this stuff, folks, but if that chart doesn't look good, charts just don't have to do that, guys, for you to make money. Charts can do that and make money, right? I'm about to show you a bearish trade we're going to add to our portfolio because we know the damn thing's going down, right? Oh, Kevin, let me show everybody that one too. So Kevin, here's some more Amazon stuff from Kevin. So it might look like a boring chart, but I don't care as an options trader if the stock's going up, down, or sideways, man. I just really don't. Note, Amazon closed 2 synthetic stock, $35,000 profit, current one up 15 grand, early D7. Nice. Very well done. All right, guys. So any other existing positions we have to cover before I want to get our trade on here. The VXX bull put spread that we have on for tomorrow is a hold, right, folks? And I'm talking to my current members. If you're not a current member, just kind of listen here. Nice little spike. We have the 31.5, 31 bull put spread. And I'm telling you, as I'm talking, we're starting to get a little bit more of a sell-off. That mid-afternoon, all the traders in Chicago and New York go and have 10 sandwiches for lunch. Oh, that's a good one, Kevin. So David, I think you're a potential new guy. Look at Kevin. Kevin is up 1,200% in his Raytheon. We got into Raytheon, what, Kevin, about 8 months ago, 9 months ago? In 9 months, Kevin's up about 1,200 bucks. So even if the stock starts moving sideways, folks, you can do the Lord's work. So current members, the 31.5, 30 bull put spread for tomorrow it's a hold for me. Yesterday in our accelerated retirement session, a couple of you guys said, hey man, what are we doing with this trade? It expires Friday. My answer was what? Nothing. What did I say yesterday at 1 o'clock? I said, with my luck, ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow and Friday, the market implodes. You don't want to close it now. It's a trade. It's a trade and a hedge. And then what happened today? Where did we peak out in VXX? I mean, hell, we were up as high as 31.5. Right here, that trade's, making money. As I said, markets don't tend to be long on a Friday. So this existing bull put spread on VXX is a hold. Okay? So this is, I'm hanging in this one. And remember, my mindset, I've never lost a penny on a hedge. What are you talking about, Wiz? That trade closed out for max loss. Folks, if you don't know what a hedge is when the Dow's down 300-400 points and all your positions red, you got a bright green position that's printing money. It's a bilge pump, folks. So my portfolios here at Top Gun Options, the USS Top Gun Options, if we take a couple torpedoes in our longs, we have some hedges that are going to pump some water over the side and make some money. So I'm going to teach you how to hedge here, because for example, if the market's up 500 points tomorrow on great news and all of your positions are green, you're trading wrong. What are you talking about, man? They're all green. That means you don't have a hedge on. You should have a bunch of green positions and a nuclear red position in your face on those days. That's your ejection seat, folks. I never, ever flew in the Hornet where the chief said, hey, Lieutenant, the ejection seat ain't working in this airplane. You still want to take it? No, Chief. First of all, that would never happen. They'd never say that. So if you're flying around in your portfolios without hedges on, you're doing it wrong. That's exactly right, David. A hedge equals what? Insurance. So on a Dow triple digit up day and all your Jan20 positions are printing money, you need to have one that's red. And then the exact opposite. If these all start going south, your hedge is making money. And then you close them. And what do you do with that profit in your hedge? You roll it back into one of your good Jan20s, a Raytheon, a Win, well, I'm not going to give you all my Jan20 positions. You guys are going to sign up for that. Okay? All right. And exactly, it helps you sleep better at night that you have a hedge on. So our weekly options trade for tomorrow, we're going to hold on to. Now, how many of you, let me cover one more of our existing positions and then we'll get our new trade on. How many of you are in this ExxonMobil iron condor? This thing is going right down the fairway. This is a beautiful looking trade. Let me see. Doyle, Kevin, Jan, David, JW, David. Yep. Okay, good. Good. A lot of you. Harry, hell yeah. Ryu, just perfect. Folks, this one, so let's take, if you're new and you don't know what an iron condor is, this might look confusing. All an iron condor is saying, hey man, I don't think ExxonMobil is going to go above this price or below this one. It can run, I call it like a football field, right? So here's the football field for ExxonMobil. This thing can run all over the place as long as it doesn't step out of bounds, okay? So here's the out of bounds in this trade. If you don't know what an iron condor is, you should become a member, and tonight at 7, we're going to do an hour to an hour and a half of iron condor training. But look at this. Just remember these two prices, $80 and $83.50. Remember that, 80, 83.5. Don't worry about anything else on the screen. Now let's go look at the stock. 80, 83.5. So let's pull up ExxonMobil. This trade, folks, is there you go. So we're at $82, folks. It doesn't get any better going right down the fairway. There's 83.5 up here. There's 80 down there. ExxonMobil does what? It channels, folks, until it what? It doesn't. But we have earnings next week, and here's my foot stomper. Remember, and it's on the web page and everything like that, do not hold this trade through earnings. But we are at, look, what, a 70% profit right now? This trade's looking awesome. Let me show you the metrics on this. Love our iron condors, Harry. Let me show you what this trade could potentially do, ladies and gentlemen. So if you're new, so there's the actual trade itself, and you're also getting to see how things work here at Top Gun Options. When I do our bearish trade on China in a couple minutes, I'm going to send out a text alert live. You guys are going to sit here. And so if you can't attend any of our live trade briefs throughout the week, you're sitting at work and death by meeting, don't worry about it. Your cell phone's going to buzz. I can run TGO off this phone. I can send out trade alerts. I got my brokerage platform on here. So you're going to get a text alert immediately when we place a trade. Then after this webinar is over with, I'm going to take all the screenshots from the trades we do and I put them in an email. And so you're going to get the exact trades. And then down here at the bottom, what do? You get the replay of the webinar too. Text alert, email with a picture with the screenshots of the trades, and you get the replay. Okay, but look at this iron condor. So there it is right there. Look at the metrics of this trade, folks. Let me get a hell yeah. We are risking $3,600 to potentially make $4,400. So this is actually less than my $5,000. Remember, I just briefed you on my SOP. I don't like risking more than $5,000 on any one trade. $3,600. This trade right now is up what, 2,200. You could close this trade out right now for about a 50-60% gain of $2,200. Anybody in this room? And we put this on what, last week? How many of you would like to make $2,200 in a week? This is phenomenal. And I called it a football trade, but here's also why I call it a football trade. You see this blue line right here? That's the stock. That's ExxonMobil. Here, let's call this the uprights, right? Yeah, everybody knows what football is. Here's what's cool about an iron condor. So the blue line, the football can't, when the dude kicks in a football game, the football literally can't split apart in midair and go outside both uprights, right? Even Charlie Brown isn't that unlucky. So there's no way you can lose on both of those spreads. ExxonMobil is either going to, if it's going to create a problem for us, it's either going to go, above that call or below that put, and we'd manage it appropriately. But right now, ladies and gentlemen, ExxonMobil is going right through the uprights. So if you're inclined, folks, remember, I'm also going to teach you when you become a member that you need to have a profit-taking SOP. My rule is this. In a credit spread, if I'm seeing 70, 80, or 90% profit in one of my spreads, like the guy in the song said, go on, take the money and run. So right now, but every day that goes by, I'm going to teach you, we're getting something called theta, time decay. In an iron condor, we sold this. Pretend you're the Ferrari dealer down here in Fort Lauderdale. When you sell that Ferrari, as soon as that dude pulls out of that parking lot with his midlife crisis in full bloom, what happens to it? It ain't a $250,000 car anymore. It's about $150,000, right? So I love selling things. I love selling premium. So every day, every second that I'm talking to you about this trade right now, what? We get a little bit more money in our pocket. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to tell you right now on just $3,600 in risk. If we woke up tomorrow and ExxonMobil said, I don't know, we cured cancer and the stock just goes up 100 points, the most, if this trade gets blown out, $3,600. But as we're tracking right now, it's going right down the fairway. We could make, this is 2 years of an annual membership in one trade. Now remember, folks, men lie, numbers don't. So I'm showing you all of our current existing trades that we're reviewing. So this is a great, yeah, exactly, Steve. Steve's up, wow. Steve's up $3,200 on his ExxonMobil, and he's closing it out. I'd close it out too, man. So, all right. Now let's get tactical. So this is kind of the flow, folks. If you're new, you didn't know who TGO was at the beginning, hopefully you got to know us a little bit better. I gave you a strategic brief. Most of it was focused on China because that's the sleeper story. I don't care about Russia. It looked stupid the other day. Whatever. We can talk about it over a beer. China's the threat, man. Talked about China. Then we got operational and talked about earnings. We talked about the Fed chief. We talked about a bunch of stuff. Then we did the T in SOT, strategic, operational. Now we're going to get tactical. We review existing trades, update them if we need to. Ain't no updates to anything, folks. I am steady as she goes. So now we're going to look at a new position. And the new position we are going to pound into the dirt is FXI. And I don't need to give you too much of a warm-up to this since I already did it in my strategic mindset. A month and a half ago, right there, I wrote it down. Right there, I said, folks, pound the hell out of FXI into the dirt. And what happened? Tamara, I don't see Tamara in here. She's our double vertical queen. Tamara printed money, and I know a couple other people, printed money pounding this thing into the dirt. Then it looked like what? For a couple weeks there, it looks like the grown-ups were talking, okay? We didn't hear too much, and I was worried. Everybody remember when I said, hey, man, it's way too quiet on the trade war front. We tried to find a base right here at, what's that, 41-ish, 41 and a half, 42. We've been, this isn't a strong looking chart. Implode, maybe we'll hang out. Nope, implode. No, we're not going to have a trade war. Yes, we are. No, we're not. And yes, we are. This is about to break, ladies and gentlemen. I got to be honest with you. I'm going to teach you how to red team your trades. Before you place any trade, folks, become your own enemy and go, how am I going to get shot down? What's going to kill me in this trade? What would kill me in this bearish trade on FXI is what? Steve Mnuchin, Larry Kudlow, and Peter Navarro come out tomorrow, the three stooges, and go, trade war's over with, problem solved, China's our friend. Can that happen? Yeah. Will it? There's no way in hell that's going to happen. Folks, if we haven't solved this trade war stuff by now, it's going to get worse. When the three amigos who were supposed to be handling this go, I can't tell you what's going on. We're stalled. That's not good. And then I just showed you all the headlines about the PBOC, the People's Bank of China, scratching their chin going, do we need to jump in and save capitalism? That's the other threat to this trade, ladies and gentlemen, that I'm going to show you, is the PBOC gets involved and says, and does what they did years ago. And I'm not going to go through the whole speech again, but real quick, no short selling, no trading on margin, opening only. We're arresting you if you say get bearish on this market, all that crap. But I'm telling you, folks, when they do that, there's usually more panic. That's when the fruit cart vendor goes, oh my God, the government's stepping in to keep this market propped up. I want to get out. So there are threats to this trade, but they're kind of insignificant. So, China blinking and backtracking. I have not seen that. Ladies and gentlemen, last week, I haven't seen any word out of China that says they're backtracking or blinking. What did they say last week here, folks? Somebody, you don't have to answer. My TGO member, I briefed you on a report last week that said what? China said they are going to respond, and not just in economic ways. Now, I'm pausing for effect because I want that to sink in. Did everybody just hear me? They said we're going to respond in not just economic ways. I just gave you a story about them hacking into Goldman Sachs accounts. Folks, cyber warfare? I don't know what that means. We're going to respond in non-economic ways, but as a military man who's taught to listen to your adversary and what they threaten you with, that's not good. It is, Patrick. That's creepy. That's exactly right. So I don't know what your name is because there's just initials in there. I couldn't disagree more. Like I said, I read Team My Trades. I go out and look for counter arguments to this trade. I just don't see any. So, Ben, on ExxonMobil, it states earnings after what exactly is the expiry for professionals? They do not stop it. Ben, so that ExxonMobil trade, it expires at what is it, next, whatever the expiry is, July 27th. So this is July 27th at the closing bell is when that trade expires. I would not hold, I'd probably get out of this the day before. Okay. Rick says, hey, Wiz, that iron condor, let me cover some of these questions because they're good. Or David, ever go long on short-term trades? Absolutely, David. I'm usually a bull put spread guy. I just showed you a lot of our recent weekly options wins on Amazon. I think I've been doing bull put spreads on Amazon since January. Like I said, we're up $50,000, $60,000 in our Amazon weekly options trading. So I usually am bullish, David, on shorter term trades. I just found we haven't pounded Tesla into the dirt in a while, but there's a lot of potential bad out there. You could be pounding. This dude's weird. Elon Musk has really gone off the grid, man. So yeah, we do mainly, to be honest with you, David, bullish short-term trades. But to be honest with you, David, you know, when you have a hammer, everything looks like a nail. We just don't have a hammer here at Top Gun Options. I got a whole freaking, that'll be my toolkit. We got a whole toolkit of stuff, hammer, saw, this, whatever the market or the stock I want to trade is doing, I go into my toolbox and grab it. So I'm not just bullish. I'm everything right now. I mean, hell, Raytheon, I think you said it looked like a boring chart or it ain't making money. We sold bear call spreads into it. I think we actually have a Raytheon Iron Condor on that's looking great. So, all right, guys, let me all good stuff, and especially from the new folks, I'm really enjoying some of your questions and your interaction. Usually in this brief, ladies and gentlemen, we do it in go-to training, which means you all can see each other's chat. That room tops out at 200 people, so we have a lot more than 200 people, so we're in GoToWebinar. But usually you guys, all your members, you guys are all chatting back and forth, so I apologize for that. So let me get into this. So, okay, here we go. Oh, you saw it on CNBC. Okay, well, here we go, guys. Strategic mindset. I'm neutral to cautiously bearish. My target right now is FXI, and I would be doing a bearish double vertical on this. So for my current members who know how to do a bearish double vertical, I do that, but since we have some new folks in here, I'm not gonna twist their brains and scare them out of here with a bearish double vertical. I'm at least going to do the first part of that, which is a bear call spread. So the first thing we're going to do with FXI is pull up our options chain, and we have to decide how far out we're going to go. Okay. This is what, tomorrow? That's the next Friday. I'm not going to go out a month because, to be honest with you, a month in this market is a world away. Back in the old days, we'd never even had weekly options, right? You only could trade months. Now you can trade, I mean, hell, some, you know, I think the VIX is going to be getting daily options eventually. I mean, that's nuts. So I'm not going to go out a full month, but I'm not going to go out a couple weeks. I don't see a short-term rally in the FXI. Let's go out around August 10th. All right. That's actually going to be after our full throttle week. That'll be a good time of flight of this trade. Okay. How about our strike selection? Let's take a look at the chart. We kind of had support-ish resistance right around this 42, and now we broke it, man. Now we broke 42 with some serious airspeed. What do I mean by that? This is a gap move to the downside. And the reason we had this gap move to the downside was, I just told you. I think today was because of Kudlow. But last week when Steve Mnuchin said, yeah, we're not really talking anymore, that was bad. Then Kudlow, then Peter Navarro. So, folks, this ain't good. So I'm thinking around the 42 strike here and the 42.5. So let's go back to our options chain. Put my glasses on and don't laugh at me. So let's look at, so if I don't think, Wiz, you had me at hello, I don't think FXI is going to be above 42 by August 10th. I think you're right. I think this thing's, the Chinese markets are starting to implode a little bit here, and it's only going to get worse. Great. You could sell, and let me just put 100 in here as a placeholder. Sell 100 of the AUG 42 calls. You can't just do that. There is not one person in this room, even me, with my, I know people here, I help build this place, portfolio margining. These would be naked calls. You just can't sell these calls, right? So we're going to do what's called a spread. So we're going to hedge a little bit and say, all right, well, Wiz, you're wrong, dude. Donald Trump came out and said, hey, man, 41.5, or no, 42.5. The trade war is over with. President Z is a good buddy of mine, a huge friend of mine. Trade war is over with. And the FXI has a rip your face off rally. Well, we're going to be long these calls then, right? We're saying by selling these calls, it's not going above 42 by August 10th. And by buying these 50 cents away, we say, hey, man, if we're wrong and this thing rips to the upside, our losses are stopped out above 42.5. So, yeah, exactly, Brad. If the PBOC exercises their put, wouldn't it rally? Well, that's what I was getting at, Brad, is the last time the PBOC stepped in to try and save capitalism, what happened? Oops, 2 year, 5 year. Okay, this chart sucks. Enough. So, Brad, that's what I'm saying is I think would actually cause a panic. Why is this doing this? Hello, chart. Whatever. So, Brad, what I'm saying is the markets tend to panic more if the PBOC starts getting involved. Yeah, so scroll back. I went through a good discussion about the whole fruit cart vendor thing, right? When the government gets involved, it causes more panic. Remember when we tried to bail out, or we did bail out AIG, and we forced the thundering herd of Bank of America to eat the thundering people. I was in the board of trade when all that stuff was going on. I remember us having emergency meetings in the boardroom going, holy shit, if the government's stepping in to save capitalism, we're in a lot of trouble. Get ready to sell. All right, so here's what I'm doing, folks, is I'm actually taking a screenshot of this trade because, like I said, I'm going to put it in the email. So let's take a look at this. Selling, let me just look at my metrics real quick. No, I can do more than that. Maybe 150. So 150. So if you're asking, Wiz, why are you doing 150 contracts? Give me 2 minutes and I'll answer your question. Selling 150 of the August 10th, I told you why, 42 strikes. I also told you why. As a hedge, we're going to buy 150 of the August 10, 42.5, and I told you why. the way I label tactics, and I know if you're new to options trading, it can get confusing, right? But this is what I call this trade. I'm bearish on FXI. I'm using calls and it's a spread. You ready for this magic? It's a bear call spread. Now, if you're sitting there going, well, wait a minute, I was over at a webinar at Brand X, they called it a credit spread. Yeah, it is. It's also that. We're getting paid to do this trade. We're getting paid 20 cents. It's called but I like calling it what it tactically is. I'm bearish, I'm using calls, and it's a spread. It's a bear call spread. It's also a credit spread, and also people call these vertical spreads. I don't call them either of those things. I call it what it is. So right now, it looks like mid-market is about 20 cents. So here's what I like to do, and again, folks, you're going to get access to a bear call spread training session that's an hour to an hour and a half. We got about 13 minutes, so I'm going to squeeze an hour and a half of training into 13 minutes. But this is why we do the training after hours, because in these live trade briefs, I want to cover our existing positions, new trades, but I'm going a little slower today because we got visitors around. We have to clean this place up. So I'm only going to go about a penny wide. What do I mean by that? I'd only go down to about 19 cents. That's the lowest I'm going to go, or maybe up to 21 cents to get filled. But for right now, I'm just going to hang my bait over the side of the boat at mid-market, right around 20 cents. Okay, and I'll tell you why I'd only go a penny wide in your training when you become a member. Okay. Now, this is the most important part of the webinar. So if you're new and you've been mentally clubbing in the Bahamas for the past hour and 17 minutes, do me a favor and come back right now, because this is very, very important. When I click on this analyze, I'm going to analyze this trade. It's the name of the webinar. Analyze this trade. Your eyes are going to look at one place and one place only, okay? I'm going to turn into a Catholic nun, which is a disturbing visual. I get it. But you ready? I'm going to turn into Sister Mary Catherine. I want you to look at one place, and if you don't, I'm going to crack your knuckles with a ruler. Not that that ever happened to me. 3, 2, 1. Look at the max potential loss. $4,500. Whoa, Wiz, what? If I didn't tell you to do that, where would you have looked first? Wow, Wiz, this trade can make $3,000 in 3 weeks? Sign me up. No. Don't ever do that. That's what a really average or below average retail trader does. How much can I make on this trade? Whether you're a Hornet pilot or an options trader, you say, what is my risk? I'll teach you how to be a professional options trader, folks, by asking this question first. And at John and Pete Najarian used to own Trade Monster. For years, I'm like, dude, why don't you guys put this first? Well, first of all, they're huge and they can kick my ass, but Wiz for marketing. I'm like, no, man, come on. And actually, I'm going to go up in contracts, maybe 165. So the maximum risk, folks, you ready? Let's see what 160 does. 165. Let's see how close I can get to $5,000. Boom, look at that. So, folks, now I'm right at my SOP. If you don't want to risk 4,500, that's too rich for my blood, Wiz. That's based on 165 contracts. Do 10, do 1,000, do 0, do none, do virtual. I can't give you investment advice. I'm not an RIA. That's between you and your RIA. You're getting the eavesdrop on what I would do, right? So 165 contracts equals what? $5,000 in risk. If that's unacceptable, you got to fly and fight your own airplane. I call you guys the pilot in command. Now I can look at this and go, you know what, Wiz? I accept that. I know what can kill me during the life of this trade. If I wake up tomorrow and the FX China invaded the world and the FXI rallied, the most I can lose on this trade is that. But I'm going to tell you when I send out the text alert in a couple seconds here, we have a couple levels in a trade where if it's going against us, we start maneuvering, right? We don't wait till our low fuel light comes on to go, I wonder if I should land somewhere and where am I? That's stupid. So now that we go, all right, man, I understand my risk. Now we can look up at Mr. Happy Face over here and say $3,300. Now these probabilities underneath here are based on what? They are based on at the money volatility, spot volatility in the FXI options. So there's a 55% probability of making $3,300. What's our break even? Well, if you want to do the math is already done for you. It's all the way, it's up here at 42.20. Okay, so the FXI has to break through 42.20 for us to start seeing any losses. okay? Here's why I love being an options trader. We make money 3 out of 4 ways on this trade. 75% of the time we make money on this trade, okay? As opposed to if you wanted to short the FXI, which makes my skin crawl even saying those words, don't ever short anything. Be an options trader, folks. If you were to short FXI, you only make money one way, right? It needs to go down. If the FXI starts to tick up, you're getting obliterated. And yes, I made that word up. You don't want to short. With a bear call spread, here's how we make money. So this blue line, like I told you, is currently the FXI. How do we make money on this trade? Well, Wiz, FXI goes down, which I think it's going to do. Well, what if it doesn't go down? It just kind of does what you showed us it's doing. It's kind of wallowing around here. We make money with it wallowing down, wallowing around. Folks, it can even go up. Ooh, hold on. What do you mean it can go up? Yeah, it can go up, folks. It can go up as long as it stays below 42.20. We make money. So 3 out of 4 ways we make money in a bear call spread. And whoever, Dave or one of the potential new folks asked earlier, this is the other thing. This is why I'm a seller of things, right? You want to be the house, folks. Win, MGM, casinos don't look the way they look because they're charities and they give away money. So look down here, and I'm not going to bore you with a discussion of the Greeks, right? But take a look at theta. Theta is time decay, right? This is why you want to sell stuff. So during the life of this trade, let me keep that right there. You keep your eyes down at theta, and as this missile, this trade goes down range, look at theta. You see it going up? Every day that goes by, you make money with theta, with time decay. That's why sometimes I avoid buying things like buying a bull call spread because it's a debit spread. I hate the word debit. Debit card, it's a debit to your account, debit. I like credit, baby. So we make money, and here's another reason why I like selling spreads. Anybody ever hear this term, unched? And I'll get to your questions in a second here, guys. Unchanged. Anybody hear that? We call it unched, right? Hey, the stock's unched, unchanged. Ready? Here's another wizism. Unchanged on the day equals time decay. Meaning, if the FXI just stays where it is today, cha-ching, you open up your pocket and watch that dollar bill float into it. Unched on the day equals time decay. So this is why you want to be a seller of a bear call spread, right? All right. Did I grab a screenshot of the metrics page? All right. So, and then now I'm going to blast out a text alert. So I love inviting people just to our regular sessions. I hate doing like marketing crap. Oops, hold on. Let me grab, and then I'm going to text alert out to my members. So even if you're not here, folks, you get to watch the replay. You get to see the FXI, what's today's date? 7/19, and those are the metrics of the trade. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hit this. I'm going to copy this up here, and I'm going to go over to what we call our broadcaster, and you guys are going to get this text alert. Now, if you opted into the webinar, guys, we don't have your cell phone number, so my apologies. Good, seeing some fills. Good. Virginia, that's exactly right. I remember in 2015 summer when the PBOC kept devaluing the yuan overnight and FXI dropped further in response. It took a while for the PBOC to slow the dropping. There you go, Virginia. That's very well said. So Virginia nailed it. She remembers 2015. Even if during the life of this trade the PBOC steps in to save their capitalism, it ain't going to be immediate. Like I said, it actually creates more of a panic. All right, so here's the trade alert. AYT&D, that means analyze your trade and debrief. So any of my text alerts, I lead the text with what portfolio it's in. For example, WO would be weekly options. So analyze your trade and debrief. New FXI bear call spread. 165 contracts. And that's for me, folks. That's Uncle Wiz. 105 contracts. It's AUG 10 expiry. And that's the word. It's not expiration technically. I'm going to sell the 42 calls and buy the 42 and a half calls. And I'm going to tell you what I'm really thinking about here in a second. Let me get to that. It's a 20-cent credit. Let me put credit. And I said, like, what, plus or minus a penny. Now, real quick, and I have no time left to talk you through this. That's why you're going to join or at least take a test flight. If this trade starts going against me, remember, folks, I want all 20 cents. I want 19.8. I want this trade to go to zero. I want all 20 cents. If it goes in the other direction, if I look at this spread tomorrow and it's up at 26 cents, that means FXI is rallying, and I need to go, why is this trade going against me? So I put out 2 levels in my alerts that you need to scratch your chin. The first is called the adjust, okay? And this would be at about 32 cents. And then the eject level, where I go, oh my God, FXI is rallying. I'm on fire. There's smoke in the cockpit, and my wingman's yelling at me to whiz, you're on fire, eject. So I just double the credit that I take in. That's a good rule of thumb for a credit spread, folks, is if I take in a credit of 20 cents and it ain't going down, it's going up, I probably eject from the trade around 40. Okay, so it was August 20, 2015. There you go, Mark. Sweet, appreciate that. But I'm going to be honest with you. Well, I'm going to put this on here. Looking to leg into iron condor. So to Brad's point, looking, if I could spell. So I'm going to copy this. So watch this, guys. 3, 2, 1. When my phone vibrates, and there you go. So within 0.01, 0.02 seconds, I got my text alert. So you could be sitting in death by meeting. You don't have to be joining us Thursday at this time. We do have a lot of retirees that don't have cell phones. They just go by email. So I send out real quick an email, not the formal one with all the screenshots. This is just a quick one. AYT&D, new FXI, bear call spread. And there's, who is it? Some Canucks or something like that. We're running out of phone numbers in the world, folks. So this comes from a 5-digit number, and some carriers think it's spam. So I own the damn company. I had to call T-Mobile one time. I'm like, I ain't getting my text alerts. They're like, oh, that's a spam number. I'm like, oh, you talking to me? It was funny. So yep. So I got my text alert there. All right, so that just got blasted out to everybody. Got the text alert, and like I said, in a couple minutes when we end our webinar, I'm going to render the recording of this and post it on the. Hopefully the hiccup in the internet, and it's starting to get pitch black down here. Typical summer down here in South Florida is it's pitch black. But let me go back to this real quick. I'd be maybe looking to leg into an iron condor. To Brad's point, hey man, if these guys do step in to save capitalism, what could I do? Let's say I'm wrong, or at least half wrong. Let's say we do just kind of hover around here. What could I do? Maybe I put on a bull put spread down here. You know what, Wiz, they're jumping in to save capitalism, and it looks like the market's, then I would kind of like that Exxon Mobil trade. FXI recently, ladies and gentlemen, has been doing what? Trading in a range, just like our Exxon Mobil trade, folks. So we might, let's say it bottoms out here. Well, if it bottoms out, Uncle Wiz might put on a bull put spread. That's called legging into an iron condor. And that's the training we're going to do tonight. So that's why I put that in a text alert. I'm like, if they do jump into save capitalism and the market believes it, we could leg into an iron condor. So Patrick, well, maybe you typed that before I just answered it. So there's the answer. If you guys know what you're doing with double verticals, we did that session last week. I'd be putting on a bearish double vertical. And I whispered that so the non-members couldn't hear that, right? So if you're not a member right now, as soon as you become a member, last Tuesday or Thursday night, we did double vertical training, which is a tactic where you're really, really, really something. You're either really, really bullish or really, really bearish. Here it is right here, double verticals, session 6. We did it, July 10th last week. So if you join, you can get access to this, and you can watch double vertical training. Because to be honest with you, I don't want to hit you with a full bag of double verticals today, especially if you're relatively new to options. But I think this is going to get smashed. I'm stunned. Usually when I say I'm stunned, a day or two later, whatever I'm stunned about happens. I'm stunned that the market really isn't reacting to Larry Kudlow, Peter Navarro, and the Treasury Secretary saying, yeah, looks like we're in a trade war. I think people are more doing the shiny red ball, Donald Trump should be impeached, and he's a Putin plan. I mean, what was it? 2 weeks ago was immigration, or 3 weeks ago it was kids in cages. 2 weeks ago it was the Supreme Court's going to kill us all, his Supreme Court pick. This week he's a Putin plant. Next week we won't even remember this stuff. We're going to get back to being worried about a trade war or actually being in one. The market's going to wake up to that, folks. Okay, and don't get me wrong. I mean, now we have a bearish trade for China in case that happens. I want that to happen, folks. God bless America. Right? I want this to happen. We have a boatload of Jan20 and Jan20 positions. Our Raytheons are good longs. I want to work, but we can kind of be bipolar right now, right? We can be, hey, I'm short-term kind of neutral to bearish on the market, but we're long-term bullish out the Jan19 and Jan20 with our good stocks, right? And ETFs. So especially our Amazons. So, all right. I think, look at that, 1 minute over, man. You'd think I do this for a living. So for all the new folks, and it looks like about 20 to 25% of you are new, if you liked anything at all that you saw today, and current members, you guys are cleared off. Let me just talk to the potential new members and tell them how they can take a test flight. So before you guys leave, remember tonight, 7 o'clock Eastern, we're going to wrap up our full throttle series of 8 sessions with Iron Condor. So we'll talk about that tonight. So you guys are cleared off. But for folks who want to take a 2-week test flight into what we do here, all you have to do is go to the homepage. Oh, cool, Jeff. Okay. We'll take a look at that. So Jeff's probably going to do we do coaching here at Top Gun Options too, folks. I do one-on-one, and looks like Jeff and a couple other folks are going to jump on here. So folks, if you ski, this should look familiar: beginner, intermediate, advanced. And don't think, let me clear this up right now. Out of these 3, I think this trial, you ready for this? For a really bad glass of Pinot Grigio here in Boca, $14, $28, and then $38. The advanced has nothing to do with skill. Oh crap, I can't do the advanced trial. I don't even know what an option is. Don't do that. The only reason I call it advanced is because in the advanced trial, you get access to the weekly options portfolio, right? It's a lot more tactical portfolio. I showed you the trades in there over the past couple weeks. We have a bear call spread on right now, and at the Amazon bull put spread we placed last Monday expired for a $2,100 profit. This SPX bear call spread, as long as we finish tomorrow below 28.20, makes $1,600. So it's very tactical. So don't look at these test flights and go, crap, advanced. I don't even know what the hell a bear call spread was. All the advanced means is what? You get access to that weekly options portfolio. I'd recommend you do that one, even if you don't want to trade weekly options, because it's the first live trade brief of the week, and that's kind of where I do my, hey, here's what the week is looking like. Okay. Yeah, absolutely, Sandra. You can start over it. So let me just put in the chat box here. So if you like the weekly options, like I said, even if you don't think you'd be trading weekly options right out of the gate, which I strongly recommend you don't. Yeah, let me put the link in here, Sandra, for the so with the beginner one, and again, this is $14. We don't even. You're going to get access to our accelerated retirement brief. That's a little bit more conservative portfolio. This is every Wednesday at 1 o'clock. We do AR, it's called accelerated retirement. So yesterday we put on some really good looking trades. AR is a very, so if you want to start out with something that's kind of relatively retirement-ish or a little bit more conservative, a little further dated in time, a lot of Jan19 and Jan20 positions, Sandra, take a look at that one. Maybe that one. Yeah, Al. No. Nobody's complaining about the sound, Al. Or else I'd have 50,000 people complaining. So it might be on your end now. So the intermediate. Let me show you intermediate. This one gets the primary live trade brief and our urgent alert service. So this one's a little bit more middle of the road. But like I said, folks, and I'm not trying to confuse you with 3 separate things. It's just beginner, intermediate, advanced. And the advanced is more for, like I said, the weekly options brief. They ain't that bear call spread we just did out 3 weeks. Essentially, it would be that bear call spread in a week time. So it's just a shorter, those trades in the weekly options portfolio are shorter term and tactically focused. Okay, so that's the only difference between these test flights, folks. And I'll leave you with this. I would strongly recommend doing the advanced, to be honest with you. Even if you're not going to trade weekly options, at least go to the weekly options brief so you can hear what it's my Monday afternoon. Hey man, here's what the world's going to look like this week. Okay, all right. Now let me scroll back. So go ahead and get airborne with your trials here. Let me read some of these questions. Chris, what is the sign of an awesome 2-week trial? 2 weeks of biz travel and starting. Yeah, Chris, that's fine. Just shoot us an email, support@topgunoptions.com, and they'll hook you up. Absolutely, Chris. Folks, I'm very passionate about what I do. I loved being an F-18 instructor. I love being an options instructor. It's funny, I didn't get this question today because maybe it makes sense to you. Some people are like, wow, if you're so good, why don't you run I'm like, I did run a $3 billion firm. I got mine. Now, in the military, when you make it to a higher rank or you get to go to Top Gun, we have a motto. You put the ladder down. You help your bro, man. You help your sis. On Wall Street, when you made it, you pulled the ladder up, man. You screwed everybody. I hated my time on Wall Street, folks. I wouldn't be here if it weren't for that, but I put the ladder down. So I'm very passionate about this, folks. So it ain't super, as you can tell by the trials, $38. I mean, Christ, I'm gonna do that on shots. Okay. Harry, oh yeah, Al, sometimes if you sign out and sign back in, it helps with the sound problems. But Al, I appreciate it. Nobody else has complained there, sure. So. Al, I'm sure there's a flight deck around here somewhere, but my radio isn't working. Ryu, absolutely, you're welcome. I'm proud of you with your Amazon and your weekly trading. Good job, man. John, everything is recorded. So let me just show you one of the member pages again. This is a member page, right? So let's just click on last week's retirement session. So in a couple minutes, you're going to get access to you're going to see the screenshots of the FXI trade we did. And then it takes about 30 minutes, John, to render the recording. So as soon as I stop recording this, it takes about 30 minutes and I post the replay as well. So everything's recorded. So if you missed something today and I apologize about okay, now it's sunny out. If you don't like the weather in South Florida in the summer, it was a huge crack of lightning. I thought it was the National Security Administration coming after me, the National Security Council. But Mervyn, so after the trials, I think it's on the page. I think they rebill. That's a great question. I think they rebill at, and I'll show you. Actually, let me show you exactly what they rebill out. Get FT, right? Get FT. So here's the monthly subscription costs after they rebill. Let me go on the page here. These are the annual prices, but here's the monthly. So the $14 trial rebills at that amount. The $28 trial rebills at that amount, and the $38 trial rebills at that amount. Does that make sense? So let me do this. I'll put a B. Beginner. Now you can't see that shit. I need a pen. Let me grab a pen. So that's what they rebill out, and it should be on the page as well. It should say this is what they rebill out: beginner, intermediate, advanced. Those are the monthly subscriptions. In a couple weeks, though, guys, I'm going to tell you the annual. I mean, I just showed you an ExxonMobil trade that pays for a year and a half of an annual membership. Don't get me wrong. As a businessman, I'd love for you to pay month to month, but the annual memberships are a hell of a lot cheaper. So yeah, I'd recommend, if you're ready to do that right now and get an annual or a monthly, knock yourself out. But somebody just asked, David, my biggest loser, I think I haven't had a massive, remember, so David, we put in, somebody just said, can I just sign up and not do the trial? I like the way you think. So here's where you sign up for annual and monthlies. So David, here's a crappy recent, well, no, this was like 3 months ago, but that's kind of recent. David, here's my crappiest was GE. Let's go 6 months. So David, I have to go further back than that. So what an awful chart, ladies and gentlemen. So David, here's what I tried to do. I hate this Wall Streetism, and this is why I hate it, because I did it. I tried to catch a falling knife with GE. Look at this. Hey, no, we're back. No, we're not. Ooh, I got into GE right after this one right here, GE. It's GE. It's the only original Dow company still around. It's not on the Dow anymore. It got booted. So me, David, I tried to bottom feed with GE. I said, dude, it's GE. They got aircraft engines, locomotives, medical imaging. It's huge. What happened with this, David, was, and the analyst even covering GE didn't know this. What happened? It was in the Wall Street Journal. They're like, dude, they still got GE Capital. They haven't sold. I thought, and even the analyst who cover this on a minute-by-minute basis didn't know they still had GE Capital. And what also came out around this time? News stories about, what's his name? Jeffrey Immelt. Everybody remember the old CEO back here, Jeffrey Immelt? Breaking news, and not breaking news, but it came out that what? That dude flew around the globe with an extra, what's he fly, a Challenger? So these two massive, essentially mini airliners, he'd bring two of them in case the one broke. I mean, Christ almighty, the president doesn't even do that. So a lot of bad press, a lot of crap started happening with GE, and I bailed out of it. So David, that would be my a black eye for me. But you know, if that's the worst, we're doing pretty damn good. Jack Welch was great. I couldn't agree more, my friend. You had to have, in order for you to go be a CEO or a good skipper somewhere else in corporate America, you had to have what, David? Some GE stink on you, some Jack Welch on you, right? So better a black eye than a broken jaw. You got it, JW. Okay. Monthly payments, exactly, JW. Harry, monthly is okay to make sure, but yearly is where it is. Well worth every penny. Thanks, Harry. I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, technically, I really hate these 2-week test flights and stuff. To me, the test flight is tried for a month, because I'm going to be honest with you. Some of the trades I've shown you, they're 2, 3, 4 weeks out. So during the 2 weeks, you're actually going to get a couple new trades, or you see me close or manage some existing, but you're never going to get like the feel for it. So Harry, I appreciate your kind words, folks. I'd kind of agree with Harry on this one, and kind of go get your monthly on right now, and then I'd look to upgrade into that. So Dan, it's funny. I stopped telling that to people now, and they learned it on their own. So Dan brings up a good point. You're going to get the yearly anyway, so just save the hassle. And that's 95% of the time people do 1, 2, 3, 4 months, and then call us up and go, hey, I need to get an annual. Don't get me wrong, man. I don't mind the 3, 4, 5 months of monthly membership, but the annual is the place to go, folks, to be honest with you. And in a couple weeks, all right, let me clear you guys off out of here. In a couple weeks, the week of July 30th, we're actually going to do a full week of live trading and training. So I would get my slots now. I get my annual or my monthly, and then if you do a monthly, just give us a call in a month after you figure out that we actually do know what we're talking about, and you can and save some money. Okay? Yeah, I'll put those up again real quick. The trials are all on the homepage, folks. So just go to topgunoptions.com, and then just scroll down here to the skiing area, beginner, intermediate, advanced. Okay. All right, guys. Sorry I went over a little bit. I went over by 14 minutes. I start to the second, and I try and put my bomb right through the window, plus or minus a couple seconds, but we went over a little bit because I had to invite all our new members or potential new members, okay? So tonight, I'll see many of you at 7 o'clock for our final full throttle training. Thanks, David. I appreciate it. And Sandra. And hopefully welcome aboard. Like I said, just take a 2-week test flight. If you like what you see, grab a monthly. And like Dan just said, everybody ends up in an annual anyway. And I mean, Christ, we have people here that have been here for 8 years. Not that they didn't learn how to trade options. They stay here for the camaraderie and the intel that they get. So very, very happy about it. David, thanks, Wiz. Good to be part of the squadron. You bet, my friend. So, all right, guys, let's go ahead and knock it off. I'll see many of you tonight at 7 o'clock. Other than that, I'll put out my Friday market. Oh, that's what I need to get. Real quick, folks, even if you don't join right now, do me a favor and make sure you're signed up here for my daily sit rep. I shoot a 8 to 13 minute video every day, and after I publish it, it gets pushed to you, so you don't have to come to the homepage and did Wiz do his video yet. This is called my market sit rep. This is free. This is my 10-minute rant on a daily basis about what's going on in the market that day. So at least, even if you don't sign up for a 2-week test flight, you still want to feel it out. The best way to feel this out is to watch my daily sit rep. So it's right there. So the link is in the chat box. Just put your name and email in there. And we don't, since you signed up for this webinar, I don't automatically drop you into this. That's rude. We don't play the email weird games here, folks. If you want to get my daily sit rep, just go ahead and subscribe, and it'll get pushed to you whenever it comes out. Okay? Awesome. Dow's still down. Hold on. What's SPX doing? SPX is down about 4 or 5, right? Yeah, 20. Yeah, about 07. That's even better. Yep. So we're looking pretty good, man. The bear call spread for tomorrow is looking pretty tight. Very happy with that, with our weekly options trade. So, all right, guys, have a great rest of your day. Happy hunting. Make sure you hedge. God bless. And my phone's buzzing, which means folks are signing up, which is great. And I'll see many of you tonight at 7 o'clock for our Iron Condor training. We'll see you guys. God bless.